Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to the Average Joe Dividends YouTube channel. In this video, this is portfolio update number 204. And on the second half of the week, what I do is I deposit $100 into this taxable M1 finance brokerage account, my Average Joe Dividends portfolio. And on Wednesdays or Thursdays, what I do is I pick 5 stocks and I put $20 into each of those, and then we'll see what the new dividends are going to be for those individual stocks, as well as for the effect on the entire portfolio. We'll also do some historicals as well. So this is the login screen where I get into M1. You can see the 1-year performance of the portfolio. It's been up, it's been down. I've been as low as the 240s a couple times, and then close to breaking into the $300,000 mark. But then more recently, we'll go to the 1-week view, and we've kind of been on a little bit of a slide here. You can see kind of the top. I thought, hey, maybe we'll touch 300, but we've kind of been stepping down, and that's okay because I'm just buying at a lower, discounted rate for these stocks. So it's not a problem whatsoever. But we'll go back to the 1-year view. You can see how the gains have been, and starting from the value of 257,000 a year ago, and we're at 294 now, and you can see what it's been from. You can see here's the actual gains, and then we can see the market gain and then the dividends. So it looks like dividends over the last year have been the main contributor to the gain in the portfolio. Of course, the 20,000, if you add that to the 257, you'll get 277. So you can see, obviously, I've actually added money, of course, to this portfolio as I'm buying more and more shares. And we'll go into the activity log here. We're going to see what my selections were. We're going to go into each of these, and we're going to see what the fractional shares were for the purchase. And I'll show even fractional shares will make a difference in the next dividend. But first up, I want to show you, though, I got a couple of dividends this morning. I woke up and I got Fifth Third for $21.53, and then Realty Income, or O, $14.24. So we'll see what fractional shares were bought here. That's going to be 2 of the 5 buys. Again, the other 5 are what I chose and put $20 into each of those. You can see here is my deposit rate here. There's a penny for security lending interest in here. So we're going to apply that extra penny in there. So it's going to be the 2 dividends plus the penny plus my $100 deposit, which adds up to the $135.78. And again, we're going to click on each of these, and we're going to see the fractional shares. And then we're going to go to my Google Docs spreadsheet where it tracks all these positions that are in the portfolio, and we'll see what the current dividend is, and we'll see what the new dividend is as a result of these buys. So first up, and again, this is what I selected, Pinnacle West. Put $20 into Pinnacle West, and that bought 0.22109 of a share of PNW. And then O, this is a dividend drip. So the 1424, that bought 0.24968 of a share of O. So nearly a quarter share of O there. And then my next selection for Southern Company, $20, that bought 0.21483 of a share of Southern. And then next up, another selection of mine, Waste Management, $20, that bought 0.0887 of a share of Waste Management. Then another selection, Yum Brands, and that $20 deposit, that bought 0.1367 of a share of Yum. And then Fifth Third, this is a dividend drip here that's occurring. So even this is a dividend I received that's larger than my individual deposits there. And so Fifth Third, this bought over half a share. It bought 0.50142 of a share of Fifth Third. And then last but not least, is Pepsi. So $20, and then that extra penny, remember that I applied that to Pepsi, buying 0.14885 of a share of Pepsi. You're going to click in the holdings tab because we're going to come to this in a little bit. If you're curious to see what all these 50 positions are, I'll leave a link below to my M1 Finance Pie. You can see all the different positions as well as my allocation for each of them. So we're going to go to my Google Docs spreadsheet. I'll also leave a link below to this, and you can see I track the company ticker symbol, the share price, and again, this tab is for everything in the taxable M1 Finance brokerage account. And we can see here is the average share price for each of these. And it's using the VLOOKUP on the M1 data tab. We're going to paste in some data into the M1 data tab in just a few minutes. And the shares is also pulled from that VLOOKUP, so I don't have to type in these amounts for the average share price that I've bought each of these, the number of shares, as well as the cost basis. Those three values are utilizing a VLOOKUP. You can see here's the value if I were to sell Apple, for example. Here's my gain or loss for each position, including dividends. Here's that gain or loss in a percentage. Anything above 25% will be in green. And then anything from 0 to 24.9 will be in white. Anything in red, or loss, obviously would be in red there. Here is the dividends per share. And they're all quarterly except for the two monthlies that I put in blue just to show those. And O, or realty income, remember we bought some fractional shares of O, so we're going to see this go up here, the next new dividend for realty income. So we'll have to remember though, I bought some fractional shares after the dividend that paid, so I get a $14.24 dividend just this morning, but $14.76 will be the next new dividend, but it's going to be even higher than that because we dripped that dividend. So remember the $14.76 there. What we can see here's the current yield. Here's the yield on my cost, and then here is the pay date, and everything on this sheet is arranged. I use sort A to Z, so from oldest to newest. And I'll show you why I do that. Is you can see when I'm going to get paid next. And you can see in today's date is highlighted. So these are the two, Fifth Third and O, that paid me. We can see it's at $35.77. And we're going to see Fifth Third, their next dividend is going to go up as well. I'm going to scroll over here. And we can see I've put in the current dividend for Yum, Southern, Waste Management, Pepsi, and then Pinnacle West. We're going to see the next dividend go up for each of these, so we're going to read those off one by one and just see how the dividend drip as well is the $20 buys, how it's going to affect the next dividend. And I show this because it's incremental progress, it's small progress, but doing this week over week, month over month, year over year, the dividends just keep going up. For like example, Pepsi, you can see the first dividend I received from Pepsi was $1.44, and you can see where we're at right now for Pepsi. The last dividend that paid me from Pepsi was $24.16. But look at the progress we've made from the last dividend payment on June 30th. We're already in $25 plus. And it's going to even go up further because of the $20.01 purchase. We're also going to see a change in the cash flow average, the monthly, quarterly, and annual. That is going to go up as well. And so we're going to see it change right here. So I'm going to grab that data from M1 from the holdings tab. What I do is I grab everything starting from the name column, grab that data. We're just going to do a copy, and this is grabbing all the data of all the positions, the 50 positions, the number of shares, the average share price, and the cost basis. And what I do is I go over to my Google Docs spreadsheet, and I go to the M1 data tab, and all the data is going to paste into just the A column. We're going to do a values, pay special values only. Then in the B, C, D column, I line up the shares, cost basis, and average, and then do a VLOOKUP against the ticker symbol. And we can see that over here. I'll show you again. What it's doing is, see the VLOOKUP M1 data, and it's just pulling that over, and it's going to populate the new number of shares, the average share price, and the cost basis. Of course, for Apple, nothing changed because I didn't buy any fractional shares of Apple, but I did for Yum Brands, and we can see the old dividend was $8.08. The new dividend is going to be $8.18. So just a 10-cent incremental change, but little by little, though, it keeps boosting the next dividends, and then that's going to be the next dividend in September. Just add 3 months to this, and Yum Brands is going to pay more. Same for Southern Company. We're moving from $7.79 to $7.95. And then next up with Waste Management, moving from $8.79 now to $8.86. So it's going to really boost the September dividends here with these buys. Then look at Pepsi, moving from $25.46 now to $25.67. That'll be at the end of September there. I believe we have one more left. And it's Pinnacle West, moving from $8.81 to an even now $9. And let's look at the cash flow for the monthly, quarterly, and annual. So the monthly is moving from $1,088.98 to now $1,089.35. Then the quarterly is moving from $3266.94 to $3268.06. Annual is moving up $13,067.75 to now $13,072.24. What we're going to do is we're going to take the value for the monthly, the $1,089.35. We're going to put that onto the monthly average dividend tracking tab, where I track any events that happen, and the events are deposits, dividend drips, or whenever there's a dividend increase announced. So we'll take that $1,089.35. I'm going to go all the way to the bottom here. And we'll put the $1,089.35. You can see the event that's a $100 deposit, and the fifth, third, and O dividend drips, and we'll see how much is going to change my monthly income every single month going forward. So it added 37 cents, and it doesn't sound like much, it isn't much, but with a $100 deposit every single month, I'm going to get 37 cents additional income because of that deposit and those drips right there. So not too bad. You can see other things that happened, like yesterday I didn't deposit any money, but Duke announced a 2% dividend increase, and that added 10 cents. And you can see here's my last deposit with the Illinois Toolworks dividend drip, and some other things like, and then PNC, recently they had a 6% dividend increase. So you can see with deposits, drips, and then dividend increases, those are the main three events that happen that keep on increasing my monthly income. And we'll do a count up of the events so far in July. We can see I've added $6.99 of additional monthly income from my portfolios. You can see that $6.99, and we're going to go to my dividend tracker tab. We're going to see that $6.99 again here in just a little bit. But you can see this is the historical part I'm talking about. And in January 2019, this is the portfolio value. I did not receive a single dividend. Same with February. I did in March. You can see the first dividends that I was tracking, $7.84. We're going to fast forward now to 2025 and see the dividends. And the last full month I received in June, the total dividends were $1,869.91. And of course, what I did with all those dividends was I dripped it back into the portfolio. to increase my dividends. So we're in July 2025. Here's the portfolio value rounded to the nearest $100. I'm rounding it down actually, and I do that every single month when I close it out. So this is the closed value at the end of each month, the portfolio value. Here are the dividends paid. Let's see if I included the Fifth Third in there and the O. I did. So the 107.95 is accounted for there. And then here's the average monthly dividend. We're up to now $1,089.35. Here's that $6.99 again. So I've increased my monthly dividend. That's an average monthly dividend, and by $6.99 so far in July. And we're not in July. It's not even close to being over for dividends. A lot more left. And then I've had a month-over-month gain in my dividend income by 0.65%. Here's the annual dividends now. We're above 13,000, 13,072.24, and I've had an annual increase in the month of July alone of $83.92. We're going to put that $100 deposit. We're going to add that in there. So I have done a total of $500 in deposits. You can see just over the last months, I haven't really increased or haven't deposited that much, except for April where we had that big drop, where we were actually, the portfolio, I was in the 250s. Let's go back to the portfolio here. We'll go back to like the last 3 months and show, yeah, 252. But I rebounded at the end of April there to get back in the 260s. So actually, it was looking lower. It was looking kind of bleak when, through April. It wasn't a good time. But that's what I did, was I reacted to that, and I thought, hey, this is a buying opportunity. And I kicked in more money, about a $5,000 extra. What I usually do, it's about $200 per week and about $800-ish. And you can see here it was an exception. And I think we dropped then a little bit. I think I saw a buying opportunity. I put in an extra $1,000. But you can see, though, usually it's not that much. And we'll just kind of do a little bit more of the average is about $1,200 per month, though. And that's not a whole lot of money. But you can see, though, the gains, though, in the portfolio, how much has gone up, though, in respect, into a pretty short period of time with not depositing that much money. So to close out the video, we're going to go over my net worth, which was up higher before, but it's come down a little bit because of just the trend of the stock market. We'll go over the last month here. We'll see kind of the, where we kind of peaked and kind of come down just a little bit. So hasn't really moved too much. But over at Vanguard, this is kind of the foundation of my portfolio. Have ETFs out here, boring Vanguard ETFs, but they are very effective. And really, most of it is like VTI and things like VU in here, and with a little bit of international exposure with VX US. And then here's my employer 401k, well over the $100,000 mark, and that's all an S&P 500 fund. Then M1, I have an IRA over there as well, and it's all in ETFs or closed-end fund with BST. You can see the sum there at $736K. And then here's the dividend portfolio on this line item right here. You can see that average monthly dividend. I'm also tracking the average monthly dividend of my IRA 401k as well, because over time when I become 59 and a half, I have about 70 years for that. But I can technically can't access that. I can, but I'm not going to get penalized or do like a 72T or whatever that's called and access it early. I'm not going to do that. But I track that, though, because in time I'll be able to access just the dividends, and I also count interest in savings accounts as well. You can see those amounts right there. And then you can see I'm tracking things like my home value, even though my home value is not going to help me out with my retirement, so to speak. It'll lower my expenses once I pay off my home, but I really can't use it in my calculation for my 4% rule, which I don't. I don't add that in there. But here's my total net worth, which is all over the place because the stock market is all over the place, but well above the 1.8 mark, but who knows where it's going to go. I can't control that. The only thing I can control is how much I invest and how much I am, investing into my, my IRA, 401k, or in my taxable brokerage account. That's the only thing you can really control there. So that's all I to show you guys for this video. We'll go back into those buys. Again, these are my selections, but this is not investment advice. But let me know in the comments below what you guys are buying to close out this week. And my choices again are Pinnacle West, Southern, Waste Management, Yum Brands, and PepsiCo. So thanks for sticking to the end of the video. If you got value from this video, please click the like button. Also subscribe so you do not miss future videos. Thanks again everyone for watching this video.